Hello, I'm Lauren Friedman, Senior Consumer Insights Analyst at Digital Commerce 360, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. Thanks for joining us, taking a little time out of your day. Today, we're joined with Nick Sven, Commerce Sales Specialist at Sitecore, and Niket Ashesh at Alpha Solutions. Technology should facilitate growth, not hold your company back. We all know that. Today, we will be discussing composable commerce, what it is, and how it can propel your business forward. So just a few housekeeping notes before we get going. As always, we'll take questions at the end of the presentation, but you can ask them at any time using the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. You can also use that box to let us know of any technical difficulties you're having, and someone will help you out with that. All of our attendees today will be eligible for today's raffle for one of 3 Amazon gift cards and a copy of Digital Commerce 360's 2022 How to Improve Conversions Report, a $3.99 value. We'll also be announcing the winners of today's raffle at the end of the e-commerce chat, so stay tuned. With that, I'm going to turn it over to you guys, and let's go ahead and get started.
Right. Thank you, Lauren. My name is Niket, and thank you everyone for joining us today. And as Lauren mentioned, we're going to be talking about the fact that technology should not hold you back. And all right, there's a slight delay in the screen change, but okay. So the technology should not really hold you back. We all know that. We have always heard, and we always want to strive towards that. But over the years, there's different kinds of technologies that people have adopted in their industry. A lot of time, out of the box components and things were working for a lot of companies, but then, there's always a limit to how much they'll work. So today we're going to be talking about a different approach, and we've used the word compose here, and we're talking about composable commerce. So more modern, the idea is how do you make your business work at the pace of technology evolution and at the pace of, everything that's happening around? How do you keep it up to date for customers and not be bogged down by the fact that you have a solution that needs an upgrade, needs continual patches, and then you wait for release cycles. So a different approach is what we're talking about. If you were here, I'm guessing you've already heard a little bit about it or read, but we'll try our best to go deeper into it and explain how you can actually compose a solution and also maintain and evaluate as you go along. All right. So at a high level, the topics that we are going to cover are MACH architecture. That's the foundation of composable. Then we're going to go into what composable commerce is and by what we are defining it as. And then we're going to talk a little bit about our approach of how do you get a business to composable commerce. And towards the end, we're going to look at a couple of products that Sitecore has to offer and the experience that Alpha Solutions has in helping customers. So that's the agenda for today. So why don't we start with what is composable commerce? So composable commerce, what is composable? So composable is essentially built on this idea of MACH architecture. And what MACH stands for: microservices, API first, cloud native, headless. So the idea is that everything is built as microservices. These are replaceable components that you can switch out that match your requirements. So there may be multiple. So as an example, I may have a very dedicated tax service and I want to use that. That's a microservice. Or another could be an order management system, or I want to use a CPQ. So each one of those are individually specialized, built as microservices. They're all built with an idea of API first. So essentially API communication all the way through, making it easy for multiple applications to interact and standardizing that interaction as well. Everything here is cloud native. Now, the reason for cloud native is essentially scalability, the flexibility of everything that cloud brings to the table. You don't have to worry about infrastructure. You're more focused on building your business and solution. And then finally, headless. So headless is essentially is that we nowadays interact with customers on pretty much all sorts of different platforms. So using a solution that kind of caters to every single platform may not work, but with the headless architecture, you can actually target all of the platforms in a form. And match the front design to what you feel is right for that platform. So a little bit on the graph on the, sorry, the diagram on the right is essentially showing, what you could do. So you've got, it could be on AWS, Azure, any cloud. The microservices can be for CMS, e-commerce, or even smaller. So it's not just for commerce, but a specific component of commerce like CPQ. Front-end framework, you could use any front-end framework. These are just some examples, and same thing for the front-end CDN. So that's overall what the MARC architecture is. With that in mind, let's go on and look at what composable commerce is. And over to you, Nick.
Perfect. Thanks, Niket. So what is composable commerce? So Niket kind of alluded to it there, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's composing or building the commerce solution that fits your operational and business needs with an ecosystem of APIs and microservices that are all loosely coupled and can be swapped with other technologies at will. And another term, similar to this would be, what's called taking a best of breed strategy. It's assembling this tech stack that consists of these many different specialized best in class services that all work cohesively together, that communicate via API. And again, it's an ecosystem that is built specifically for the customer's specific needs in mind. In essence, it's out of the box. It's the antithesis or the opposite of out of the box software. So composable commerce embraces really these four value propositions. Composable commerce is a modular system that's built with open standards. It's extremely flexible, and it focuses on providing the business with the tools that it needs to deliver e-commerce solutions that have, that you're in complete control of, but also facilitates rapid innovation. So the flexibility of composable commerce allow businesses to use and develop only the features and functionality that's necessary to run their business, as opposed to buying out of the box software where only a fraction of the functionality is utilized. As a result, these composable applications are often leaner, they're faster, they're more flexible, and to work even faster and deliver an experience that's far superior, this development approach lets you seamlessly combine these different best-of-breed components from all these different vendors across the market, ranging from content management systems to tax calculators to payment processors. This list goes on, right? With customer demands continuously evolving and the need for digital transformation more important and necessary than ever, composable commerce gives businesses greater control on how their e-commerce applications are delivered. This decoupled approach makes it easy to manage these e-commerce experiences across any channel, and you're setting yourself up for success with really a true future-proof application. You can go to the next slide, Niket. So not only are modern technology vendors like Sitecore and partners like Alpha, trending in this direction, but leading analyst firms are also riding this wave of composable. Gartner recently came out with a stat stating that by 2023, organizations that have adopted this composable approach will outpace their competition by 80% in the speed of new feature implementation. So why composable commerce? Right. So let's take just a step back and talk about the challenges facing online businesses today. So when you try to make, out of the box software work for your business, you run into numerous challenges that are a constant battle when you're trying to grow your online business. Scalability, the first on the far left-hand side here. Scalability is a big issue we hear a lot about when it comes to this old monolithic out of the box type technology. Whether that be handling peak events like Black Friday or simply trying to grow and add new customers, your business can't flourish if you're constrained by your old legacy systems. Regarding customizability, old technology wasn't meant to be customized. And when customization was needed or is needed, it can be a fight to get it to work the way you want it to work. And when I think about when you're adopting these new systems within your technology stack, flexibility needs to be the mantra of these systems that you adopt. As far as extensibility goes, the beauty of technology is that it's ever evolving, right? It seems like there's something new that comes out on a daily or weekly basis, and organizations need to be positioned to take advantage of these opportunities when they arise. And if you think about it, old systems don't necessarily pair well with new. And again, this flexibility and the ability to take advantage of these new tools is paramount to online digital success in a rapidly changing market. And then lastly, with agility, how are you able to respond to customer requests in unforeseen circumstances? For example, when COVID-19 hit, how fast were you able to adapt to an online-only business model? What about adding a simple feature like curbside pickup that all of a sudden has become a lifeline for your business? How could you do this with your systems today? Was it a struggle? If it was, we've got a brand new approach that makes these things a lot easier. And again, this approach is called composable commerce. It's faster, it's cheaper, and it's more performant, which is why we're seeing a lot of organizations adopting this approach at an exponential rate. I really like this slide. It's an interesting slide showing the current landscape of commerce platforms that you'll find on the market today, ranging from, on the left-hand side, traditional monolithic platforms that got their start in 1995, 2005. In the middle, it's been an evolution of those monolithic platforms. It's the traditional monoliths that have been retrofitted to emulate headless. And then on the far right is composable commerce or true headless microservices or mock architecture, right? And I think it's really important to understand the spectrum of commerce platforms on the market today and the capabilities associated with each, but also the liabilities associated with each. So starting with on the left-hand side with the traditional monolith or the first iteration of e-commerce that was around in 1995 and still relevant today in some respects. But you've got this tightly coupled platform with zero freedom regarding the business logic on the back end, as well as zero freedom regarding a design point of view, as you're stuck with this template-driven user interface. Really tightly coupled, you're stuck with the business logic that the vendor has dictated, and you're stuck to the front-end UI UX that the vendor has also created. This is that rigid monolith that you're always hearing about. In the middle, this is where the vast majority of technology vendors sit today. They've taken their traditional monolithic platforms, they've removed the heads to allow for a little bit more design flexibility by bolting on partial APIs to expose functionality, but they're still confined to the rigid business processes of the backend platform. This is the most common offering on the market today, and it works, but there's a lot of liabilities associated with how does that backend platform perform? How can I create these e-commerce applications that will mirror my business processes? It's pretty tough to do when you're locked into a static business logic platform. On the far right-hand side here is where composable commerce comes into play with its headless microservices-based approach, or mock architecture again. The back-end platform with the business logic is completely decoupled from the front-end design. So this promotes business process freedom in the back end, allowing you to build these commerce applications that truly mirror your organization's processes and workflows. And then from a design point of view, it's headless, right? There's no canned or opinionated front-end experience that you have to work with. You can really design these custom front ends in whatever way you want your customers to experience your site and experience your business on a day-to-day basis from an online standpoint. This type of technology hit the market in 2015, so it's pretty new, and it's gaining a lot of momentum, which is why you're seeing all these legacy vendors that had their start in 1995 to 2005. They're all trying to work their way towards headless, and the analysts are talking about it. Companies are making this move to modern, and this type of technology that's all API driven. It's really not going anywhere. Next slide, Niket. So composable commerce benefits, not only is composable commerce best for business, but it's also what modern developers or builders want to work with. And I think when you boil it down, commerce platforms should really do three things for your business. They should make you money, they should save you money through operational efficiency, and they should give your customers a better way to interact with your business. And composable commerce really delivers against those three things, right? When you're thinking about making more money, how easily can you cross-sell? How easily can you upsell? Can you deliver these experiences that your customer really wants to see and interact with and buy from you? How about for your builders, right? With this type of technology, you're not stuck with, I need, 10 .NET developers, and that developer pool is really slim, and you got to pay them a lot of money. This type of technology with using APIs and really just designing front-end experiences, you've got a wide range of developer talent pool that you can pick from, and these developers are able to utilize the tools that they want to build these applications, whether that's third-party microservices, customizing, extending APIs, the list goes on for benefits. And also, the design freedom point of view, right? All these other vendors have these opinionated applications that you've got to work with and make work for your business. What if your developers want the freedom to design these really sweet applications, right? You got to have a platform that condones this approach, and that's a headless model.
All right, so I'd like to add a couple of things that Nick said just before we get into the approach of how do you get to headless. So a couple of things to kind of highlight in what Nick was presenting is essentially, there's an emphasis on headless here. One of the reasons for headless is because how many different systems how many different touch points you have with your customers. It could be email, it could be mobile device, it could be a website. So of course, templated worked really well because there were only a handful of places where you would be interacting. But that's not the case. And then on top of it, the other flexibility is like, if you take the traditional, the transitionary phase, then, there's a whole bunch of applications that you can have on your mobile device, which are more embedded web views. So it kind of works because you have the responsive side, but that's not giving the customer the best experience. So if you don't provide the best experience, there's competition that's going to do it, and you eventually end up losing. So that's essentially what the Gartner report is also pointing out. The microservices architecture gives you the freedom and the flexibility. So agility is also one of the tenets there. So essentially, you have your, you can have your website, you can have your mobile device, and with whatever evolution comes in from a mobile standpoint or from a web standpoint, you can focus and deliver that relatively quickly. And if anything were to change from a business perspective, so as an example, today you have a tax provider that you're working with, that's not going to work for you because you're going to go to 15 other different markets, and you need somebody who actually caters there. Both they have a microservice available. You can essentially switch that out as well without impacting the entire solution. And it could apply for any of those concepts. So, keep that in mind as we talk about our approach here. So the approach is really, it's a very simple slide. What we typically at Alpha would like to do with any one of our customers is essentially, we do a bunch of workshops. So it's not, so why we're doing this is because it's a little different from the traditional approach of, requirement analysis, because, we're not building one solution, we're building it iteratively. So we're building things that get delivered to the market fast. And then, iteratively you add things. So the initial idea of the workshops is that there's obviously business analysis. We want to make a case for the business. So what problems can we solve, and where is the microservices aspect going to fit in first? So let's consider you have a monolithic solution and you are looking to go towards microservices. So your transition can be a step process. You transition to one element in the microservice for composable common, then you move on to the other one. So let's say you want to let the system handle cards, but then eventually, you want to add other microservices that would be more for your product management, etc. So that's what the business analysis phase is. We want to deep dive into your current systems, analyze and identify what the business objectives are. So we can actually work towards a value prop that will make sense, not just take the solution. And that's I think one of the things Nick was pointing out as well when he showed the traditional versus the modern architecture. It's at no point is the Mark architecture saying that this is the solution, this is how you need to do it. It's about flexibility. It's about picking the right things that work for your business, and you have to have a migration path. So, but eventually, when you are completely on composable, that's a different story. So in the process of business analysis, we also want to look at whether or not composable in its entirety is a solution that's right for your business. Because you may have a business that's only running one store, and you've just gotten into the e-commerce business. Maybe that's where you are. So understanding how composable can help you grow is something that we do want to help you understand. Otherwise, you embark on a journey and you're also trying to get your commerce store up. But the other solution is you've already run a commerce. Other situation is essentially we've run a commerce store for a long time and you are continually getting into roadblocks. So we want to identify which one of the roadblocks can be solved first. So that's the business analysis. The second item here we're talking about is team analysis. So we kind of mentioned this a couple of times. So it's flexible and agility are the two key elements. So if you have been working with technology that is antiquated, you would want to review that and see what your team is capable of and how your team needs to be upskilled or trained on some of the aspects. Because with composable, we're talking about cloud. So if you have infrastructure that's all in-house today, or you have an in-house deployment, then it's a little different thing. So we do want to analyze the team. We want to understand where the gaps would be, so we can come work with you on a plan and making sure that your team is ready. And also, if you are not familiar with the agile process as a team, that would be something we'd be introducing as well. Obviously, we also want to work on trainings for your team. So that's the team analysis portion. And the process analysis is essentially, we do want to review your business process and devise an adoption plan. Define, clear goals so that, as we are adopting microservices, we're adopting the composable commerce architecture, it is a success. And not only from a technology perspective, but an operational perspective as well. Everybody on the team is embracing it. And monitor results, repeat the process. So that's kind of what we typically try to do in workshop session. Specification planning is essentially the simple part for any project. We do want to write some specification of what we're building, and again, going back to composing a solution that works for you. So it may be different, and even the integrations may be different. Nick touched upon open APIs and the fact that it is modular. So we do want to make sure that we're picking the right things and working and integrating things the right way. And finally, obviously, implementation. So that's another that's the next step that we go. And finally, and actually, adoption is the last item. Adoption is essentially where we work with your team to make sure that everybody understands how the new system plays and how integrations work. What are you doing on a daily basis? Because it's not the same as what people have been doing over the years. There's a different way of managing the application. There's a different way of utilizing the application. And one of the fun things is that Nick touched upon it, was essentially scalability. So if you are, let's say from a Christmas standpoint, you have a higher volume of traffic, there's a very different process of how you scale a microservice, because you're only scaling the areas that are most needed. So making sure that the team kind of works through, understands it, and has a full adoption is what we work towards. And this is a very standard process from, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you would be familiar with as well. So the idea here is you're treating your system as from a product perspective. You're getting all of these composable components, and then you're iteratively building upon them. You're building so let's say, we start out with a very simple commerce site, and we want to get all of the front end elements in place. So, that could also be iterative on what we are adding on the front end. So identifying that, going through sprint cycles, and every sprint is more of release. So this is how you get to the market faster with newer features, because you're doing it in shorter sprints and doing a release cycle at every sprint. So you're continually going back to our workshops, you're making sure that your backlog's fully built, and you then go to the sprint planning phase, make sure you are building applications and releasing them in a very quick cycle. And one of the good things about this is that not only are you doing this, some of the vendors that are offering composable elements like Sitecore from a composable commerce standpoint, they are following the same process. So new advancement, any new feature, you're getting it rapidly as well. And you get that rapidly on your application, and hence on your website too quickly. So that's the process. All right. Next, we're going to dive into a little bit of the products that Sitecore has to offer for composable commerce. Nick.
Perfect. Yeah. So all of Sitecore's new composable products, which is what we're calling our now composable DXP, embrace this approach. So specifically relating to our commerce offerings is what you're seeing on the screen. We have 3 solutions that our customers can pick and choose from, right? We've got a e-commerce platform called Order Cloud. We've got an AI-driven search and recommendations platform called Sitecore Discover, and then we've got a marketing automation platform called Sitecore Send, right? And the beauty here is our customers can pick and choose what they need and only what they need. So if they need a commerce platform, Order Cloud is a good fit for them, and it's going to work really well with the systems that they already have. Same goes with Sitecore Discover and Sitecore Send. And again, the idea is you're able to pick and choose these services that you want across the whole market and create the tech stack that's going to fit your business. And we think about it, in composable commerce deployments, there are many systems and tools that are integrated to an e-commerce platform, ranging from, your master source of record, whether that's an ERP, to product information management systems, all the way down to payment processors and tax calculators, right? It's this ecosystem of open solutions that communicate to each other via API, and you can leverage, all these different tools from across the market. And I would encourage you all, if you're interested in seeing one of these Sitecore composable sites in action, go head over to DSW Shoes or Finish Line or Lane Bryant and just navigate around. Just try to understand, how these sites are working and what's compelling about them. It's kind of fun to see them in action.
All right. The last thing from our agenda today is to touch upon the services that Alpha offers. So I think I covered a little bit from an approach standpoint, but to sum it, we obviously build e-commerce solutions. We worked with Sitecore for a very long time, and we've also worked with Sitecore through its evolution. And so essentially we've got skills from a CMS perspective, e-commerce perspective, and CRM integrations, search optimization. So the search optimization is a little bit unique that we highlight. It's not necessarily SEO search optimization, but one of the things that you need on your website is also the ability for users to find things quickly, products. So one of the things that from a Sitecore product was there's a search platform as well, which is more it learns and it makes sure that people get the right relevant result, and they're not just getting some random results. And those are the kind of things that we help with. We also work on PIM and DAM. So essentially, if you look at it from a composable commerce perspective, we kind of cover the spectrum of all the way from the creation of your product in a PIM to enrichment, and then getting it over to an e-commerce system, selling it, and then eventually getting it out to the to your ERPs and other order management systems. And so that's kind of the overall of what Mapflow covers and is capable of helping with. If you guys have any questions, definitely head out to our website. You will find a lot of information, or just shoot over an email. We can have a conversation. All right. So that is the end of our presentation on composable commerce. Lauren, over to you.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for so much information. I think it can clearly be very helpful to people who are investigating this or trying to improve on it. So we do have some questions, and if it's okay, Nick, I'm gonna pick on you first here. So when you think about it, when you say best of breed, does this truly mean that we can integrate any SaaS-based platform out there? Also, are there any issues with integrating with legacy systems if needed? Because we know there's still plenty of those out, in the field. So any thoughts related to that? Actually, Niket, I guess this one is actually meant for you.
All right. So I'll take the question then. So, yeah, so the answer is best of breed. Yes, any SaaS platform that has an open API offering, and you can integrate. And as far as the second question about integrating legacy systems, I'm guessing that's the question is because there may be a situation where you are not migrating everything over and you do need some integration back into your systems. So the answer is, again, there are multiple ways of achieving that. If you have an API, it can work that way, or more non-traditional, difficult ways of integration as well. The good thing about the composable commerce system is, you can get your data out, and once you have the data out, getting it into legacy system, we could use a whole bunch of different methods. Even if it is a flat file or EDI-based integration, we can get that going.
Yeah, and from my point of view there, integrations are different now with modern technology than they used to be with, rigid technology that wasn't built to communicate with other technologies. With an Order Cloud platform, it's an API first platform, which means it was built to, communicate with other systems, right? And I've had hands-on experience in working with some customers that have had like 25-year-old or 20-year-old ERP systems that are, just a mess. And we've been able to integrate with them, not easily, but we could do it, right? There's different methods you can do with integration events and webhooks. Technology has improved, which has made integrations easier.
Well, that's always a good thing, right? Because there'll always be a retailer with a system that is going to be challenging, and I would have to imagine that. Well, Nick, what aspects of composable commerce have resonated with the retailers the most? Obviously this is a newer approach, and what is it about it that they find appealing?
From our customer base, some of the most compelling pieces, revolved around the pandemic in April of 2020, right? You had all these retail customers, and all of a sudden they had to shut their doors, and their business pivoted to 100% online, right? And the first question is, did these retailers have curbside pickup available to keep their businesses going, right? And to our customers, curbside pickup wasn't really a thing, wasn't necessary. And all of a sudden, overnight, it felt like every one of our customers was demanding this functionality on their sites, rightly so. With this type of technology, we were able to, code in curbside pickup into the back end and expose it to our customers for use in a matter of 48 hours, right, over a weekend time. That type of agility is, paramount when, you've got these unforeseen circumstances, or you've got a customer that's got, endless requests for features and flexibility, that type of thing. That is why I think it's super compelling is, how can you rapidly address these concerns and issues, right? On top of that, one last thing is, I mentioned earlier, taking advantage of new tools that come out, right? Maybe it's a new chat functionality. Maybe it's selling into the metaverse or something like that. do you have a system that's open that can, adopt these new technologies, or can you get your products into the metaverse? These are things that I'm thinking about. 5, 10 years down the road, ordering is going to be much different, right? Are you in a position to take advantage of how people are going to be placing orders in 5 to 10 years?
And as we've all learned, like you said about the COVID example, we don't know what's coming next. And I think it's a readiness factor for a lot of people, and who knows what's on the horizon. But hopefully we won't have to live through that one again. Niket, here's a very specific question from a member of our audience, and I hope I get all this right, so I'll give it my best shot. Nonprofits leverage AMS such as Personify, where products are configured. In the Sitecore tech stack, where does the product live? In AMS or in the Sitecore Order Cloud?
So it would, so essentially it would depend. If it would, you would have to bring it into Order Cloud from a perspective of Order Cloud's the eventual e-commerce platform. So you can manage and integrate it and bring it to Order Cloud. You do not have to essentially have a duplicate management on the Order Cloud, and you're really just bringing it via an API, because you do want it to be an Order Cloud to be handling your cart. But if Order Cloud is not handling your cart, and you're doing it outside, then you wouldn't want to bring it in. So the answer kind of depends on what your eventual goal is and how you want to handle it. And again, Order Cloud does not necessarily necessitate that you manage, maintain, and everything in the Order Cloud platform for products. You can essentially enrich them, bring it in, even from Personify, and then have your cart be handled by Order Cloud, and then do a handoff again. So you don't have to have the completion of the order cycle in Order Cloud. So if you need to take it back, you can do that as well.
Okay, so it's like the answer to every question. It depends. So just to kind of piggyback on that, Nick, this was addressed for you. Is SOAP API supported in headless? So just we get all the technical things out of the way here.
Yeah, I don't know that one. I'm more familiar with REST API protocols, and that's how the Order Cloud platform is exposed. My understanding is I guess, Niket, do you have any?
So essentially, the answer would be you could make it work, but you don't want to, because you're talking about a technology that's pretty heavyweight actually. So requests versus you're going with REST and modern day Graph too. So really, that's where things are headed. So while your system, if it is SOAP, the APIs on the Order Cloud can consume that and use it for integration. But essentially, from a commerce perspective, mostly, it is REST and all REST, Graph, and other modern methods rather than SOAP.
Yep. And like you look at like all these public third-party APIs, like a Google Maps, for example, they're following a REST protocol. It's the most modern, and that's how all these new technologies are going to come out too. So that's a good answer, Niket.
All right. Well, I'm glad we covered that one. So now, Nick, back at you on this one. Is composable commerce, like I'm on the fence, and I'm on the call because I'm thinking, should I consider this, or would this be right for my business? How do I know if it's the right solution? And do you have any pointers that can help someone decide? Like how would you guide them?
Yeah, I'd ask first, how painful is your experience today? How painful is it to manage, your sites? Do you have any flexibility? Those are the questions that I would ask right away. There's certain use cases that are fine for out-of-the-box software, right? For example, Shopify. Shopify has a good platform. If Niket and I want to start a shirt business and we're just selling direct to the consumer, we've got one price schedule, we've got 100 SKUs, Shopify is going to be a good fit. Probably don't need composable commerce. That might be overkill. But if I've got complexity with multi-brands, lots of SKUs, I want really good personalization, that would be where I'd look at a composable commerce solution. And oftentimes we get customers come to us that graduate from a Shopify and say, okay, Shopify was great for 5 years, but I'm ready for an enterprise level software that I can control. I'm in control of my roadmap. I'm not stuck to a vendor's roadmap. These are all things that should be taken into consideration.
Right. And just to add to your example, actually, one of the things that where you would want to graduate from Shopify to a composable commerce is, we started a shirt business. Now what we want to do is we want to allow our customers to customize the shirts. So the minute you have any complexity like that, what you are looking at is you're looking at customizing Shopify. Obviously, you could find a bunch of tools or, Shopify from the Shopify store, you can get a bunch of custom apps that were written. You can have that integrated. But what does it mean from a management perspective? And what does it mean from, now what you're doing is you're creating so many SKUs. Is it the right way to deal with it when you are eventually processing your orders? So, you get into this area where, yeah, the site can perform, but is your business operational functional as well and is able to keep up with the changes? So it's, let's say, we started out with customization of shirts, and now we want to diversify, also get more merchandise and have even more customizations. That's where the composable commerce comes in. The commerce system could focus on making sure that your cart is handled, and you can even have a different CPQ element added to it. So, specialized one that works for your specific situation. So you don't necessarily have to have the same CPQ that was designed for, let's say, a car, and you're trying to use it for a shirt. You go for a more specialized solution.
Okay, fantastic. I mean, I thought one of the things I remember when I initially was reading the deck, I thought it was interesting when you discussed the benefits of composable commerce being, best for business, but also best for the builders, because this is a two-handed situation in a lot of ways. Someone has to build it. Can you talk a little bit more about the builders and, why it's so appealing to them?
Yeah. So, you want to take that, Nick, to start with? Or?
No, I'm biased. I'm biased. You're the partner. I think you're the builder, so you should take this one.
All right. So essentially, there's lots of different benefits. So one simple example would be is like, it's modern. So you get a lot of people who are trained on there. There are a lot of people who are excited to work on it. Versus if you go with the technology that's old, the resource pool you're looking at is smaller. So, you don't even get to that. Then the fact that you're working with newer elements, you're working at a pace where you're working with newer technology. So think about it from a perspective of just, if you just take a developer as an example, what would excite them is they're working with a newer technology and they are continually learning. That's one. From the other aspect, from a builder standpoint, is it is standardized. We're talking about standardized APIs. We're talking about standardized microservices. We're talking about everything is open, clear communication. So it's not that, let's say I get a challenge if I need to integrate one monolithic solution with another one, not to learn. And as a builder, that's the complexity that we have to work with. Over here, the processes are so streamlined and so similar that for us, it's easy to pick, work, and deliver value to our customer, which is what matters. Otherwise, we're stuck in this cycle that we want to provide value, but we're also fighting the technology. So, that's another reason why it's really good for builders. We can then focus on our customers, help them achieve their business goals and not continually fight with technology.
Nick, do you want to add anything, or are you going to leave it to Niket on this one?
I'll just leave it to Niket. I touched on that during the presentation, so don't need overkill.
Okay, so I'm going to take the last question here. And, just because I'm a little cynical, like many technologies, it always seems too good to be true. So why is, just as a last, thought to hear from each of you guys, why do you believe this composable commerce is so timely now? Like, why does it hit its moment? And, Nick, can I start with you on that one?
Well, I think it hit its moment with COVID-19 when, you had all these businesses that needed to make these changes, and they realized how hard these changes were to make with this old type of technology, and, it really affected their business, right? A lot of businesses went under. How many of those were due to the ability to unable to respond and pivot towards an online business, right? And then I think about, again, where is this going to be in 5 to 10 years? Do I need to have you want to have a solution that's open, that is flexible at the core and, can deliver on wherever the customer wants to order 10 years down the road. Who knows what that's going to be, but you better be able to accommodate it.
So uncertainty is always a key driver as far as that goes.
Yeah.
And Niket, you get the final word here.
So just to add to that, it's not only the fact that you can execute on things faster, but over the years, what we've seen with all of our customers is everybody wants to deliver quality products to their customers. So essentially, let's just take a simple storefront. You're interacting with the user and you're trying to give them the best product. And when you're dealing with systems that require a longer period of development, and then you are reliant on the product company to release new features, and then you have to do an upgrade, which also takes months and months. What it does is, in many cases, you've lost your customer because they've now moved on to somebody else who is actually delivering things. So with that, what Composable brings to the table is that with the example, like 48 hours for feature for a product to deliver, right? In 48 hours, every customer who's using the product or a cloud is now able to do, curbside delivery. And at that point, as it is up to us and the customer to make sure that, we have the right user experience from a user, UI perspective. Functionality wise, we can deliver things. We can actually work at the pace of the consumer. And that's the key. I think that's why composable commerce is relevant, because every day there's new things, there's new ways your consumer interacts. There's giant kiosks that are now popping up in malls too. Like a lot of people are going back to malls and you want to go deliver there. There's metaverse, you can do all of that with composable commerce and not have to change your back-end business operation. That to me is the value prop for composable commerce.
Right. It's not knowing what it's going to be and knowing that you'll be ready for whatever it is when the time comes. And that's a powerful thing for retail or for any business. Well, thanks so much to both Nick and Niket for delivering so much knowledge and sharing so much information about composable commerce. It was a great discussion, and thanks to everyone for signing on and listening. The winners, I know this is what you're all really waiting for here. The winners of today's raffle are Megan, so I'm going to get this, hold on, don't hang tight. Megan Kevin, I want to make sure I get that right, Sarah Flynn, and Dick Sterry. And our webinar team will be in touch with you guys regarding how to claim your gift card and report. Of course, like always, there'll be a replay of this webinar available because it's a little technical, so it may be helpful to hear it again and share it with some of the folks on your team. After we conclude, you'll see a pop-up window on your screen asking you to provide feedback on today's webinar. If you can, please take a few minutes to fill this out. Your feedback helps us plan future webinar topics and understand what kinds of presentations work best and are of interest to all of you. Also, please keep an eye out for our weekly email to find out what other webinars are on the docket, and visit digitalcommerce360.com to see our upcoming schedule or view our library of archived webinars. We thank you again for your time and have a great rest of the day and a great rest of your summer. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Niket. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.